Hi, everyone. This is the third session of SIGEF 2021 June on the 11th edition of this international forum. We are now this afternoon starting, to tackle a very paramount topic, which is the topic dealing with gender equality, women empowerment, and as well, the positive impact and the impact women empowerment can benefit through tradition and culture. And so I'm very privileged and pleased to welcome with all of you four international speakers. So first of all, we are very pleased to have as a representative of art and talent and music for Japanese culture artist Miu. Miu, thank you for joining us today. We have as well the privilege to welcome a great advocate for women empowerment on the ground in Morocco, very active through her association to bring impact in Morocco in the many different parts of the regions in the person of Swat Dibi, who is collaborating with us for a long time with all you. We have as well the pleasure to welcome a philosopher and an art historian, someone that I have a great pleasure to have a conversation with on a topic that are spiritual and art and humanity related. So Frank, thank you for joining us today and sharing your perspective on how you see women empowerment and gender equality through the perspective, the lens of the arts. And last but not least, a very close a friend of my heart that I know as well for quite some time, someone that is dedicating his life to make positive change a reality in many people's life. Someone that is now chairing and responsible for UNESCO in Maghreb on its impact and activities. So in the person of Alexander Shishlik. Alexander, welcome today. So let's get started. I would like, to ask each one of you, you have a connection with culture and tradition, and you are an advocate of women empowerment. So first of all, could you tell us a little bit about the origins for yourself in your commitment? Where did it come from? Alexander, would you make us the privilege to start with us? Where did the passion that you have, started from your side? Alexander, can you unmute yourself? Thank you.
Thank you and welcome to everybody. I have been working for UNESCO for 28 years. So when you are in the United Nations system, you do work on human empowerment every day. But what I have found out in my career are two elements I wanted to share with you. I worked a lot in the arts. I worked a lot with young people and in sport. And I always found there's a presumption that women can't do it as well as men. And especially as an Austrian born who has been observing how the Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra was trying to introduce women against all odds, at the end achieved it, I see this is very difficult. So, and the other thing is, when I worked with young people, I had for a while the youth portfolio in my hands. I always observed how young women are much more clear, eloquent and precise in their aspirations and don't dream too much, but get really the job done. And the women around in this panel will tell us that. So that's why I think by empowering women, we also bring a major change to society. That was just my introduction. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alexander. Thank you very much. You, as an artist, as I like to call you, and many people call you like a Japanese ambassador of culture and peace, but as well as an advocator, yes, on that aspect of culture. Could you tell us how did it started? What was the drivers of your passion and start in your career and what you are doing now?
Yeah. Hello everyone, my name is Mio. I'm a Japanese singer and songwriter based in London. And before I started music, I was Miss Japan for various international beauty pageants, such as Miss Tourism International in Malaysia, etc. So I was promoting and introducing the Japanese tourism and culture, those kind of things, to the world. So through those experiences, I realized that I was Japanese in the world. So the more I saw the world, the more I communicated with many people from different races, different backgrounds. I realized that how beautiful culture, how beautiful tradition my country, Japan, has. So I was also one of those who was forgetting about our own culture and our own tradition. I was actually not interested in Japanese traditional culture at all when I was young. But the more I had international experiences and the more I saw the world, I realized that actually we have so beautiful culture inside. So I wanted to introduce and bring this beautiful tradition and the culture to the world more and more. So when I started music, I wanted to do that through my music and my activities. So I decided to do that. And my specialty is also, I was Miss Japan. So I wanted to do that also through my fashion, because I'm always singing with kimono dress, etc. So I'm creating a fusion. I'm trying to fuse traditional Japanese culture with Western modern culture together. So like through my fashion and through my music. So this is how I started my activities.
Thank you, Miu. Thank you, Frank. Could you tell us a little bit about, first of all, where did your passion for art and culture that you're gonna, share with us on that special, aspect of women and gender equality? Where did it started?
Well, I had the privilege could have studied philosophy and art history and literature. It's quite some years ago, but I enjoyed it very much. And what I noticed is in the arts and in literature, it's regardless of male or female, the mastery is available to basically all, and it's regardless of the tradition. However, it's often the case that women are overlooked in the writing of history. And with my intervention today, I want to correct it a little bit and put the spotlight on the Middle Age, on women working together in a beautiful life form in abbey. So just to say another thing about literature, Dante, the Divine Comedy, it would not exist without the female character of Beatrice guiding the whole way to the paradise. So the feminine in art is really a golden thread in the tradition.
Very nice, very nice. Thank you, Frank. Ma chère Swad, voilà, tu nous fais le plaisir de nous rejoindre du Maroc. Nous saluons de manière très importante l'action continue de ton association auprès et du soutien des femmes du Maroc. Swad, comment est-ce que tout ça a commencé pour toi? D'où vient cette vocation que tu portes et tu donnes énormément d'espoir et de courage à énormément de femmes au Maroc? Comment est-ce que tout ça a commencé?
Bonjour tout le monde, Souad Dibi, présidente fondatrice de l'association féminine El Khir, une association qui a été créée il y a 23 ans, c'est-à-dire en 1998, et qui était une toute petite association parce que c'était juste l'envie d'aider les femmes, l'envie de faire quelque chose et l'envie de participer au développement du pays. j'avais une intention de faire bouger un peu les choses, d'ouvrir l'esprit de certaines femmes qui n'osent pas parler, qui n'osent pas s'exprimer, qui sont très timides, surtout dans une petite ville comme Essaouira. Et après, l'association est devenue une grande aventure dans le domaine des droits des femmes, dans la lutte contre la violence. Ça nous a conduit à plusieurs projets pour améliorer les conditions socio-économiques des femmes par plusieurs projets qu'on mène jusqu'à nos jours. Et à chaque fois, il y a tout le temps l'innovation. C'est-à-dire qu'à chaque fois qu'on a des obstacles, des difficultés, on essaie de créer des idées pour faire face à toutes ces difficultés. Et c'est ça la grande aventure. Le Maroc, c'est un pays en voie de développement, c'est un pays qui est avancé au niveau des lois, des droits des femmes, mais il y a toujours la mentalité qui n'est pas vraiment en mesure de s'adapter avec tous ces changements-là. Il faut un travail acharné, il faut un travail vraiment quotidien, sérieux, pour essayer de changer les mentalités et changer la façon de voir les femmes. Jusqu'à maintenant, on n'a pas encore gagné le combat. C'est un combat quotidien pour faire changer des mentalités qui veulent pas vraiment appliquer tout ce que l'État a mis en place pour que les droits des femmes soient vraiment une réalité.
Merci, cher Fouad. Merci beaucoup pour ces actions. Et on va prolonger tout ça dans quelques instants. Let's go back to Alexander. Alexander, could you tell us maybe what are the initiatives that you are at the moment and across, like UNESCO supporting that are, leveraging this aspect of culture and tradition, but as well making, that support for women and youth and women and youth. What are the initiatives you could, share with us that are mobilizing your energy at the moment?
Thank you, Checo. I just want to mention something which I just want to reinforce what Suad says. It's a question of mentality. And it's a question of the mindset of both men and women. The mindset of women who understand that they are weak and they have been in society put always at the weaker spot, and they can probably only be valuable to do some handicraft. And that's already good. And then there is the mindset of men who would always see the woman as the weaker and the one who has to be at home with the family. And this is exactly very exciting to see in my current position, because I'm working in Morocco and in the Maghreb region, that unfortunately, and Suad can confirm that, in countries like this one, which are extremely modern, with 5G, with all the best infrastructures that you can imagine, in the families, the men would still think that the women are second rate, and they would not push their daughters to study science, and they wouldn't like their daughter to study abroad, and. So this empowerment of women has to become a societal prerogative, and it has to start in each and every family. And what has inspired me in my career, and I don't have now to tell you how much we do in order to make women's empowerment. What has inspired me in my career is when a young woman like Miu, or younger than Miu, came up, someone who was working in order to promote education in the countryside in Nigeria, or someone who wanted to bring more respect to handicapped girls, or someone to have to work on AIDS and so on. This girl said to me, it was my cousin, it was my brother, it was my father who pushed me to be where I am. And often it is this inspiring male figure that makes out of a girl that also achieves beyond being a girl, and where you don't even imagine that. So it's men like you, Jonathan and Frank and me, who have to change their mindset. And that's why I'm so happy that Suad mentioned the mentality. And they often tell me it's a male figure who inspired them. And I can give you many examples, but I don't want to occupy the terrain now. Thank you.
stopped. Okay, maybe. Okay, I just wait. I do again. It's my turn. It's my turn.
Jonathan, you're on mute.
Sorry. So I was on mute. I'm sorry. So Frank, the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, Jonathan, for being part of this great event. Yes, let me take you on a journey into the 12th century. We can go to the slide and we will walk through now. It's a rereading of tradition in art history. Let's go into the topic. Why should we care about tradition? I think we have many good reasons. One of them I noted on the slide. The tradition provides us with masterworks and with a quality level which we should not undercut in the 21st century. That's my strong conviction. The second point, I mentioned it before, the mastery, the human potential has no difference in being female or male. It's possible to all of us if we have the right condition to grow and to develop. And we are here to improve these conditions. Let's go one step further. With regard to the framework where we are discussing today, obviously gender equality is an important goal. And the UN framework, the Sustainability Development Goals, is a generic framework, which of course, and there you know more about it, Alexander, in this project needs to be specified wherever we are doing something, but it has a big value for us. It provides us, my understanding, as a map of reference to structure along the lines of our dialogue. Yes, we go one slide further, please. So why to reread tradition? Women have played a key role and their role has been underestimated in the history of art and science. So let's go into one example. My approach today is that the female empowerment can be fostered by recollecting items of tradition. And I'm now showing you one page of a manuscript. Next slide, please. I show you an example. It's called Hortus Delicarium, the Garden of Delights, and it was directed. Could you unmute? Someone is on the mic. Could you please mute?
Thank you.
Thank you. And the lady on the right, it's her portrait. She is Herard of Landsberg. She was the director of an abbey at here near France in Hohenberg in Alsace. And we can look into this book, which is a manuscript. Next slide, please. So we are looking now on the page and we have the 7 arts, and in the center we have the philosophy. And as you can see, the personifications of the science are female. They are wearing the red, the blue, and the green robes. And on the picture below, you see 4 men, and we will look at them closer. Next slide, please. So in the center, you have, can you go back, please? You have the queen in blue and red. It's the philosophy, which is in the scholastic worldview, the center or the central science. And you see the personifications on the right side of the rhetoric and of the dialectic. And we need to remember that Herard and her nuns, they had a life form in the abbey. They were studying the sciences, and this book is a kind of representation of their life form. They were self-governed, like a female enterprise, which is astonishing, because in the cliche, normally the Middle Ages the people say they were dark and so, but we can see it was not like this. So we can go to the next slide. Here we see 4 poets with birds, and this is a reference to Plato, who criticized the poets who were not inspired in the pure sense of the word. So we have the female 7 sciences in the center, and we have the male being not able to write in the same sense at the bottom of the page. We can go 1 slide further. And here we see in the central circle, underneath the queen of philosophy, we have Socrates and Plato as a reference of the tradition of philosophy itself. And of course, we are only looking a glimpse into it, but it's made very beautiful, this manuscript. So let's go to the next. I just showed you 1 page of it. Definitely it's a masterwork of a book manuscript. And what I found striking is the self-confidence of Herod and her abbey, and the cultural leadership role they played in the 12th century. Also remarkable is that they relate to the tradition free to Plato and Socrates without any stereotypes. So they appreciate the male philosophers from old Greece completely. It's a document for an integral life form in this age. And since I'm a philosopher, of course, I feel happy if I see the philosophy at center stage. And I think it's well done, because the philosophy with the tool of thinking is offering a universal tool which can help in solve many of the challenges which we have. And yes, last but not least, 7 arts are personified with woman, which is symbolically also very deep, because it's the anima or the feminine receptive aspect of the soul. And this is also something the man can have or can develop. Whereas also the masculine part of the soul is something which can empower the woman. So that was the brief look into this manuscript. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Frank. Thank you very much. Very inspiring and very profound. So thank you for sharing those introspective aspect and exegesis of this manuscript, and that is putting, the woman at the center of wisdom and art. So that's very profound. Miu, going back, like to art, how the so rich Japanese culture, for us who are not Japanese, we consider Japanese culture as one of the maybe richest, cultures in the world, with a very significant heritage and so many aspects that are, visible to our eyes and intellect. So could you share with us how this Japanese culture and tradition has had maybe an impact, a positive impact, in your ability to be empowered as a woman and as an artist? You can unmute yourself. You have to unmute. Yes. Thank you.
Japanese traditional culture, actually, historically, Japanese culture is men-dominated. Japan was basically men-dominated country. So many Japanese traditional cultures, such as kabuki, no, bunraku, everything, there were no female performers. So there were no female artists in the past because female were not allowed to perform in public as a professional artist. But of course, there were so many talented, great female dancers, female singers as well. But they were geisha. You know geisha. I think everyone knows geisha. Like geisha was like a hostess to entertain men. So female artists were rather considered as a hostess to entertain men. But
like a courtesan, like a courtesan, like we had in the French culture, we call it courtisan. This is the word, courtesan. But for us, it's very part of the Japanese culture. But please go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, but like after Meiji period, after Japan opened the country, things changed a lot. So for the first time, female were allowed to perform in public. So there were more and more opportunities for women to perform in public as an artist, as a professional artist, not as a hostess. So like things are changing a lot, but still somehow we are men-dominated society, but still things are changing dramatically and a lot, and compared to the past, it's much better. So like we have more opportunity, like women can do a lot of things because now women has so many rights to do. So it's more, we have more freedom to do more things. So like I'm quite fortunate. I was born in the good age. So if I was born 10, 20, 30 years earlier, it's not the same. So I couldn't do the same what I'm doing now. So I'm really appreciate I was born in a good time because as a woman, it was difficult. It was more difficult to do what I'm doing now. I think so. So I think like still in Japan, there's more to improve or to change. Still like there's a mentality like men taking care of women and women taking care of house. That kind of mentality still exists in Japan too. So there's still more to improve and change. but things are changing and changing and improving a lot. So that is enabling us to do more things as a woman. So I hope it's gonna be better and better, and for that we need understanding from our partners and also from our government and society. So I hope the Japanese government and the Japanese men will be more supportive and more generous for women to do more things and to pursue our careers. So because after childbirth, especially, it's very difficult to continue our career in Japan because still the government system is not so enough. So I feel like I hope it's gonna be better and better.
Thank you, Miu. Thank you very much. And we are very happy you were born exactly the day you were born, because we know how talented you are in your music and composition. And when I travel to Japan, I can see so much vibrant Japanese culture with both women and men. So thank you for sharing your testimonials on that. Cher Swab, il va falloir, voilà, exactement, le mute. Alors, pour nous, c'est très intéressant d'avoir votre aspect et votre vision. C'est vraiment de ce travail quotidien que vous faites avec et auprès de l'ensemble de ces femmes. Est-ce que la culture marocaine, est-ce que les traditions, est-ce que les valeurs, ça peut aussi soutenir justement votre travail et qui fait partie justement de l'empowerment, de l'autonomisation des femmes? Est-ce que justement, regardez, vous êtes vous-même une ambassadrice de cette culture, de sa spiritualité? Est-ce que cela peut être quelque chose qui peut également soutenir ce mouvement de conscience qui va faire en sorte que les femmes vont pouvoir, un petit peu comme le sakura au Japon, fleurir et s'ouvrir sur leurs talents et sur elles-mêmes?
Oui, j'ai suivi un peu parce que j'ai avec moi ma collègue Hanan qui m'a donné un peu qui m'a fait le rôle d'interprète. Donc, j'ai vu que toutes les philosophies parlent de l'égalité homme-femme et parlent de l'importance de la femme dans la société. Et ça, c'est important parce que tout ce qu'on peut dire sur les inégalités, ça n'a rien à voir avec les religions. Les religions, ils étaient mal interprétés par les gens. Il n'y a aucune religion qui tolère les inégalités. Dans la religion islamique, nous sommes égaux, les femmes et les hommes. On a le même discours, les mêmes obligations et les mêmes devoirs. Mais il y a l'ignorance et il y a certaines personnes qui veulent garder leur autorité sur les femmes. Et c'est pour ça qu'ils sont en train d'empêcher tout ce qui est évolution et émancipation des femmes, par peur de perdre leur pouvoir. Donc, comme a expliqué le monsieur qui était avant, la femme a occupé une grande place dans plusieurs domaines. Dans la politique, l'économie, la recherche scientifique, même au Maroc. On a des femmes qui ont franchi beaucoup de domaines et qui ont témoigné de leurs compétences. Je reviens à la question que tu m'as posée, Jonathan. C'est vrai que le défi et le problème qu'on a, c'est un problème de mentalité. C'est un problème des gens qui veulent pas changer, qui vont pas changer un quotidien, une tradition qui a fait que la femme, son rôle reste à la maison, elle a le dernier mot, elle peut pas participer à prendre des décisions. Et c'est ça où les associations, partout, que ce soit au Maroc ou dans d'autres pays, doivent sensibiliser. On a besoin et on fait un travail énorme dans le domaine de la sensibilisation. Parce que sensibiliser les gens à être en mesure d'accepter toutes ces lois qui sont maintenant en vigueur. Et aussi utiliser l'art et la culture pour sensibiliser les gens. Et nous, on a fait cette expérience. On a fait l'année dernière un projet de théâtre. Pourquoi? Parce que d'abord, on pense que le théâtre, c'est un moyen de thérapie pour les femmes qui souffrent, qui ont des problèmes, qui ont vécu des violences, que ce soit psychiques, physiques ou autres. Et c'est aussi un bon message à adresser aux gens. Quand on joue une scène de violence ou une scène de maltraitance, on fait passer un message aux gens et on leur demande de voir, de réagir vis-à-vis de ce qui se passe. Et c'était une très bonne expérience. C'est-à-dire qu'on a pu faire réagir les gens à des comportements où ils sont pas conscients, souvent. Souvent, ils sont pas conscients de ce qu'ils font, de ce qu'ils répètent. Parce que c'est vrai que on a évolué. Le Maroc, c'est une société qui évolue. Mais c'est difficile de faire évoluer les mentalités, même auprès des gens qui ont eu des diplômes, qui occupent des postes. Nous, on galère pour changer la mentalité des responsables. Des gens qui doivent respecter les lois, qui doivent appliquer les lois et qui ont déjà des idées très traditionnelles. Donc, on fait un défi, on a comment dire, il faut vraiment utiliser l'art, utiliser la culture pour toucher un grand public, que ce soit les gens qui occupent des places ou que ce soit les gens simples qui n'ont pas eu beaucoup d'études et qui demandent d'avoir ce genre d'action. C'est-à-dire, il y a un travail énorme que toutes les associations, les organisations doivent faire pour changer et instaurer la culture d'égalité, la culture de respect de la femme, parce que jusqu'à maintenant, on a toujours le regard vis-à-vis de la femme, on considère pas la femme comme une personne. On la considère pas comme une personne. Donc, c'est pour ça qu'on a toujours on a toujours des filles qui vont pas à l'école ou qui arrêtent quand ils ont 10 ans, 12 ans, qui arrêtent parce que leurs parents, ils ont peur qu'elle va à l'internat pour suivre les études, qu'elle va en vie. Ils veulent garder une autorité sur la femme comme si c'était une personne qui n'est pas vraiment capable de se défendre, capable de prouver qu'elle est digne de confiance, qu'elle a des projets pour sa vie, qu'elle a une ambition de réussir, de faire une carrière. Et ça fait mal au cœur quand on voit dans la campagne des filles qui ont arrêté, alors qu'ils sont brillantes, qui ont arrêté leurs études, par peur que leurs parents peur qu'ils fréquentent des garçons. Donc, je vois qu'il faut vraiment un travail acharné pour changer les mentalités. Parce qu'un développement d'un pays ne peut pas se faire s'il n'y a pas une participation égale de l'homme et la femme. C'est-à-dire la femme doit occuper la bonne place qu'elle doit. Et on a des modèles de femmes qui ont réussi. Nous, on a des femmes qui ont arrêté l'école par faute de leurs parents, qui se sont mariées, qui n'ont pas réussi leur mariage. Et on a accompagné ces femmes pour retrouver l'école. Maintenant, ils passent leurs examens pour terminer leurs études et pour faire les projets dont ils ont rêvé. Il y a 6 ou 7 ans. Et ça prouve que la femme, elle a une grande volonté de faire face et de lutter contre toutes les difficultés qu'elle rencontre. Alors, imaginez si ces femmes, ils ont eu des conditions faciles. Qu'est-ce qu'ils vont faire? Ce sont des acteurs de développement qu'il ne faut pas négliger, qu'il ne faut pas laisser tomber. Et donc, c'est notre devoir, nous, de faire changer les choses, d'innover aussi. Parce qu'à chaque fois, chaque région, chaque ville, elle a ses propres traditions. Et il faut proposer des solutions qui soient innovantes et qui prennent en considération les conditions de chaque région. Donc, il y a tout un travail vraiment, un grand travail à faire.
Cher Chouad, merci beaucoup pour témoignage inspirant et qui vient vraiment du plus profond de l'action que tu portes ainsi qu'avec tes équipes. Un grand merci et un grand bravo pour ce que vous menez depuis maintenant plus de 20 ans sur le terrain. Et je me tourne vers Alexander. Alexander, what a statement from Swag. So energetic, you know, for us. What could be the advice? What could be the recommendation that a man with so much experience like you have been able to build on the ground, meeting amazing change makers, could you share so we could, you know, like push a little bit more the aspect of autonomization and gender equality and women empowerment on the ground in the region of your current, you know, like beyond the world?
Thank you. I mean, the facts are quite easy to understand. Currently, we are having the Sustainable Development Goals, and Frank has explained that to us. And they are, of course, interconnected. And the empowerment of women is a facilitator of. It's not a goal in itself, but it's a facilitator of all the other goals. And I give you also another framework, which is when you measure development of countries, you measure the economic, the social, and the environmental factors. But there is this cultural factor that often people are not capable of integrating. And when you could look into the cultural factor, which is somehow the soft factor, you will always turn to women. You will always see that it is women who are facilitating, assuring the social fabric of the country. It's because of their motherhood, because they care for the families, and it's always through women that you will develop this cultural dimension of development, which is what we now would probably integrate into the well-being parameters, and some countries do that. And you will always have to build this with women and not with men. So there is an economic, social factor that is overwhelming already, and that we just have to be capable of reading. Now, I'm a little bit breaching in general terms. How this can be applied now here to this region I am is a top-down and bottom-up. Top-down, the governments do everything to have gender equality inscribed in all the laws and in the schools and everywhere. That's not the problem. The fact is the bottom up, that each man has to understand that the woman is not a competitor and is not to be kept at home, that the woman can express itself and can have the same power in society in a man. And these are social gaps that still have to be bridged. It's the masculinity element that is so important when you fight for women empowerment.
Thank you so much, Alexander. Thank you so much. If we go now to Frank, I would like to have, you know, maybe your suggestions, if they are, you know, like in terms of from the lens of philosophy or art, what will be your recommendation to support women empowerment and gender equality as a whole?
Well, yes, I think from the contributions, it's pretty clear that we are in a century where it's clear that we have a global mindset in evolution emerging. It's a new paradigm which would enable all persons, regardless of their biological sex or their religion, or any other accidental features, to be empowered and to be part of a fruitful society. The challenge is, Alexander mentioned it right now, that the local cultures seem to leap a little bit back. They are anachronistic, local or regional cultures, and the challenge is a massive one. It's really enterprise how to link the universal values of the dignity of woman and man alike with the local traditions, and how to initiate such change of thinking. And from my experience, I can tell change of thinking, like in every practice, it takes a time and it takes a regular practice. So I would advocate that in the kindergarten and in the primary school, we would teach the philosophy again as the universal tool, because the categories like a circle or a triangle, the mathematics, as Plato told, this is not Swiss or Italian or Moroccan or Japan. This is universal. And this is my hope for this century, that we can interlink these cultures.
Thank you very much, Frank. Thank you very much. Mew, if we are looking at the positive energy that you are spreading when you are exercising your talent and passion, could we say that this is actually, you know, like now, women that are protectors of the Japanese culture to some extent and culture? To what extent women can, by their action, by their empowerment, be a force for preservation of culture? If you can unmute, Mew, if you can unmute yourself. Thank you.
Yes, as a woman, I was Miss Japan, so I was representing Japan and I was presenting the beauty and elegance of Japanese culture and the Japanese traditions, and also, yeah, that kind of part as my fashion and like presentation, that kind of thing. So, my music, through my music, I'm bringing Japan to the world. This is my mission. I think what I'm doing is inspiring also women as well, because what I'm doing is quite challenging as a woman, because I'm married and also I have a child as well. So as a mother, as a wife, I keep on doing what I was doing before. So to show this, by showing this, I'd like to tell other women, we can always do it. So even if we got married or like if we had a child, we don't need to give up, no stop, no pause our career or what I want to do, what we want to do, and pursuing our dreams. So we can keep on doing. So I want to show this to other women as a role model. So I want to be a role model for that. So thank you.
Thank you, Mew. Thank you very much. And again, congratulations for your birth, you know, like that you had. Very nice. What is the name? What is the name of your? Very nice. Very nice.
This is so beautiful. Yes. So it's a positive thing. So like to have a child is a positive thing. So I want to say this.
Very good. Very good. So ma chère Swad, nous allons rentrer dans la conclusion de cette session. Est-ce que tu pourrais nous partager en 2 minutes, et on va essayer de faire 2 minutes par personne, vraiment ton message aux citoyens du monde pour pouvoir vraiment soutenir cette vision d'un monde plus équilibré et plus ouvert pour permettre à la femme de réussir, de briller et de soutenir finalement la culture, la vie et l'harmonie dans ce monde. Quel serait ton message? Il faut se mettre en unmute, Swad. Si tu peux te mettre en unmute, voilà.
Moi, je pense qu'il faut s'ouvrir aux autres et qu'on accepte la différence, qu'on aime on aime les gens. Voilà. Ce sont des valeurs qui font que tout le monde va vivre en paix, tout le monde va vivre en harmonie. Il faut aimer les gens, il faut accepter la différence. On est tous différents, mais c'est cette différence qui fait la richesse. Et donc, il faut vraiment respecter tous les gens, que ce soit hommes ou femmes, pour qu'on puisse vraiment vivre ensemble dans une vie meilleure et qu'on réussisse à vraiment instaurer la paix dont on a besoin. La paix au niveau personnel, au niveau aussi dans le monde. Et donc, ce sont les valeurs que je défends, moi. Et j'espère que ce message passera à tout le monde. Et œuvrons pour que ce soit fait.
Merci, cher Swad. Merci beaucoup. Amen, comme on dit, à ces paroles pleines de profondeur et de sagesse. Merci, cher Swad. Alexander, what would be your concluding remarks and inspiring, like a message for all of us, citizens of the world?
I don't know if it's inspiring, but I would say to men, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. That's all they have to say. Don't be afraid of women. And it's a very big psychological... there's a big psychological barrier with men, but they shouldn't be afraid of women. And they should, that's all. And you can teach that from primary school. You can teach that in art classes, through sport, in many ways. Don't be afraid of women. Take them as your partner. I think society is advancing, but Suad is still fighting in a society where men are certainly afraid to give up something, which they don't even know what it is, but to give up something. So don't be afraid. Message to men. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alexander. Thank you very much. Mew, what will be your concluding remarks as well? What will be your message for the citizen of the world?
Yes. Even if there's a difficulty, nothing is impossible. So we can always change everything. So we can keep on persuading our partners, our society, government. So things will change. So believe it and don't just hope. Let's do it. This is my message.
Let's do it, Mew. Let's do it. Well said. Thank you so much, Mew, for joining us. And
thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Mew. Thank you very much. And we have now we need to finish, this by the philosopher of the panel, Frank, my dear friend. Frank, what will be your concluding or opening? Because we never conclude in philosophy; we only open. What will be your opening thoughts after this session?
I would say if we can learn to put our questions smart and in a better way, the answer will spring out easily. And often I think we tackle the topics in an old-fashioned and a crystallized way. And I know there is a better way. And it's not only about a new way of thinking. I think with the culture, with the music, with the experience of beauty, we can touch the hearts of people globally. And this is my hope, that with the philosophy and with the arts, we can enable really the change what the Earth needs, planetary. So essentially.
Thank you very much, Frank. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. It was our privilege today to welcome both women and men to speak about how we can build a more equilibrium and more harmony for the sake of the planet, for the sake of gender equality, and for the sake of life. Thank you very much, and see you soon. And now we go to the next session that will be dealing with decentralized finance for a more sustainable and inclusive world. Thank you, everyone.